Hi, hello. Welcome to 1111 Divine Lovers series hosted by Vertex of Abundance, Galactic Temple of Ascension. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous, also known as Ablosi Baba. I'll be your oracle today. I want to go ahead and get right in. Expect shortly a quick blurb or introduction to the temple's take on divine love, catalytic and soulmate partnerships, relationships, what spiritual union and physical union looks like, especially around karmic relationships, which is the darker emanation, darker half of the soulmate twin flame union. This month, since the new moon was in Aries, the guidance will be geared towards the divine masculine, and the new moon dictates that we talk about the lighter emanation, the kinder side of the soulmate twin flame union, which is more in alignment with soulmates, twin flames, growing into a union, maybe even getting together in a long-term partnership, life partnership kind of role. We'll be deliberating the findings from Thoth Tarot, illustrated by Lady Frida Harris and Aleister Crowley, and I'll be imposing the guidance from the Rumi Oracle by Alana Fairchild. Okay, so as I said, the findings will be deliberated through Aleister Crowley and Lady Frida Harris Thoth Tarot. My name is Serene Priestess Gorgeous, also known as Ablosi Baba. If anything that is said resonates deeply with you, versus the technique, or perhaps it resonates with you and you might want to touch base on the twin flame, divine partnership, maybe catalytic or karmic aspects of your relationship or your union, you can go ahead and contact the Mystery School at Oracle at priestessgorgeous.org. You can contact me directly at baba@ablosi.org. Let us begin. Okay, so before we impose the guidance for the divine masculine, just checking in with the divine feminine quickly. You know, we're entering in this cycle with last month, perhaps the divine masculine, they came into a good foundation. Okay, they found their seat of power. There was a right exchange, a right moment. The energy became right. However, on the feminine side, which by the way is the side facing the camera, the side further away from the camera, closer to the candle, is the masculine side. It feels like we're moving to higher ground. We're stepping into some maturity. Perhaps we're going on a pilgrimage. Now, for some of us, we're going on a pilgrimage. It's going to be to our higher selves. For some of us, we're going on a pilgrimage in terms of finally going after maturity, finally going after answers, finally moving towards authenticity with ourselves. Now, some of us are leaving, especially on the feminine side. Feminine has nothing to do with gender assigned at birth. Oftentimes it does. It's more if you're the party receiving the energy, transmuting it to its highest vibrational outcome, that's the feminine. If you are putting energy from the union out into the world, striking the will upon the universe, especially for the union, that's the more masculine emanation. So at some level, whether it's physical or spiritual, there was a leaving. Now, it could have been the feminine leaving the masculine, even though the masculine seems ready or is about to get ready or is finally in the right place. So on some levels, it would also be leaving behind old behaviors, old patterns, especially the propensity to carry around feelings, carry around expectations. It's not like the expectations are going out the window, but they're graduating into standards, they're graduating into boundaries, okay? Because the focus now, in terms of conflict, challenge, it seems to be foundation on the masculine side. It's reflected back on the feminine side by there's an actual authentic relationship here. Now it's in the spiritual, at least at the very least, the astral realm. And the feminine is mirroring back to the masculine the work required, especially on an internal level, to get everything. And it's not getting up from the table when love's not being served. It's literally leaving behind what's not working, leaving behind the things that are stressful, the overwhelm, the projection of feelings, the lack of foundation because of clarity or certainty, things not being said, things not being done. Also the list, the laundry list, the coulda, shoulda, woulda. You should XYZ LMOP because I ABC. You know, you're this, you're that, a whole laundry list, taking somebody else's inventory, projecting onto somebody else. So there's a lot of maturation, graduation, culmination from that. And that's how we entered into the cycle. So last month, there were some things spiritually that were wrapped up. And I keep getting the note that the masculine is ready, has become ready. And see, it was a mental thing or a spiritual thing. And I can see this month that on the masculine side, again, it's not referring to gender, although it may be. You know, the masculine, divine masculine has nothing to do with gender, although oftentimes it is the male-bodied individual in the relationship. Masculine is about energy pushing out into the world. Feminine is about energy received from the world. Think of masculine as the seed being planted and feminine as the field that the seed gets planted in. Think about masculine as the observer. Think about feminine as the thing being observed. Think about masculine as the contents. Think about feminine as the container holding the contents. Okay, so we're moving to some higher foundation. For some of us, it's leaving things behind. On the masculine side, finally, they're in the right foundation. On the feminine side, they're leaving things behind. Now, it may be leaving the masculine behind if things weren't working out. And it will appear like leaving this partner, leaving this connection. However, it's allowing the energy to move to its high vibration outcome, because the conflict challenge is, again, foundation healing on the masculine side is mirrored back on the feminine side to finding the place in the soul group. The union, not just self-fulfillment, self-actualization, but fulfillment, happiness in the union. Now the focus is repelling, allowing energy to move to its highest vibration outcome, but it's a dissipation of agendas. And that's what the focus is right now. So at the time that you tune in, especially last week of March, but mostly the first 3 weeks of April, generally, typically most of Aries, it might be some conflict. And if the feminine is perceiving conflict, especially with the masculine, the feminine is actually in reality in the dialogue, maybe self-dialogue of my love's not being received. My efforts for union are not being received, especially received and reflected back to me. The masculine would perceive it in their own environment as, you know, I'm repelling a lot of agendas. Things are not aligning with my foundation and they're actually being repelled. And I'm not really so much fighting as I am competing or protecting for my side to be seen. And it can be for some of you petty, for some of us it'll be petty, but really on the masculine side, it'll be repelling energies, repelling frequencies, energy, vibrations that don't align with the foundation that recently been accomplished. There's a pending, percolating, perpetual transmutation. And it's not on the way, it's actually here, it just hasn't manifested yet. So what's going to be transmuted is energies that don't fit this foundation are going to be repelled before each party of the union. They were finding themselves so that they could align with this connection. They found themselves. For the feminine, they need more, or they've got to get up and leave. And for some of us, we've gotten up and left. On the masculine, they needed to feel like they were in a comfortable, safe, secure spot. And it's not about insecurity. It's not about being uncomfortable. Does this call to me? Does this speak to me? Does this resonate with me? Is this a place where I'm going to want to build a foundation? Is this a place that feels not safe, but secure in investing in? That's how the masculine's perceiving. So now the focus is, okay, I have this place that I'm going to build my everything on top of. And I'm going to protect the perimeter, but not so much protect the perimeter, protect the foundation as in fighting things off. Yeah, to a lesser degree, because the sacrifice to make is being defensive, dealing with weariness. But it's really more, I'm resting and recuperating here. I'm allowing things to impress upon me now here through meditation, clarity, insight, soul's wisdom, and my agenda, my ideas, my emotions about the surroundings and locations, about this entity of a union that we have, an entity called a union that we have, is going to either affirm or adjust what's alive in me. That's what the masculine is perceiving. That's the dialogue of the masculine. I found my place to invest in. I've now become okay investing in this foundation. Whatever's going on, whether it's conflict with my partner, with my person, with this person that I am in a union with, that I want to be in a union with, whomever this connection is with. Even if we are fighting in conflict, it's really just a transmutation and a dissipation of agendas. It's really just repelling energies that don't resonate. And whatever energy is here that stays is going to move to a better foundation. And whatever energy that gets dissipated or repelled is going to move to its highest vibrational outcome. You know, this is reflected back on the feminine side as love, committing to love, committing to receiving love. And again, it can be a conflict because the feminine might be like, I'm only going to receive love or I have to go. I have all this love to give, and if I can't give it to you, I'm going to give it to some person, place, or thing other than you. And if the feminine has gotten up and left or withdrawn their energies to put into another place, they're still connected psychically, connected intuitively to this union. And honestly, the hoping, wishing, praying, yearning, conjuring up is there. They have some type of not telepathic, but it can be small, lightly telepathic, but they're still in a heart-to-heart communication. Oh, excuse me if I'm bumping the mic there. I know the sound's atrocious, I apologize. Excuse me just one moment. So the challenge here right now is that somebody's going to need to stand up and defend the union. Because on the feminine side, they're mirroring back to the masculine. The feminine is going to work on whatever is there to be worked on. So it's aligning properly. They move into the next part of the cycle. Okay. So we have 50% of the union here. Now, there's some subtle nuances. It can be argued as 75%, but it's really 75% with an asterisk or 50% fully qualified of the union is here. We have the soulmate. We have the divine feminine. Okay. Now we don't have the twin flame. We don't have the divine masculine. Now on the spiritual plane, we have the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So we would just be missing the twin flame union. But we do have enough to go on. So I just want to reiterate what my guidance is here, because I'm finding that there is going to be a completion that anchors into the physical. Okay. Over the next 3 months, they're going to work on all the things that need to be worked on to make this union a physical union. Over the next month or so, onwards towards the Taurus new moon, there's a lot of different perspectives that are going to come. And to be honest, the masculine has gone about this the hard way. I'm getting a little bit hard-headed energy. Now, it's their time. There has been a lot of conflict here. And it's not outward conflict, you know, arguing, all that stuff. But there's inner turmoil, left, right, and center, and sideways. So we enter into this cycle with a completion, a culmination, a graduation. The feminine probably is under the impression that they're leaving this union. However, finally, it's the right timing for the masculine. Honestly, as the feminine, I would probably say, it's fine whatever you're going through. I don't really need to like it. I need to understand it. And you haven't done a good job of communicating most of that. Now, the masculine is healing whatever they need to heal to start communicating their intentions, maybe even their feelings, maybe even what their plans are. Now, they may have had some wounds from communication. At a previous time, they may have been communicating, and there might have been some wounds. Because the feminine feels the love that there is, feels the union that there is, but this union isn't anchored into the physical. Yeah, okay, there's happiness and love. It's mostly on the feminine side. It's not mirrored back on the masculine side. And in the physical, they're like, where's this recognition of this union? I don't want to be putting all this into and getting nothing in return. So I've learned my lesson here. I've gotten everything out of this union that I'm going to get. Let me move on somewhere and give this love, give this connection to somewhere where it's going to anchor. Well, actually, the masculine comes into healing of whatever. It's really unclear, uncertain what the masculine had to heal from before. It really has only twice in two different ways said timing, right foundation. Things moved into place. So I would like some clarity. Okay. I don't know. I'm getting the information of like finally communicating something. The masculine finally gets the message, receives the message. It's not welcomed 100%. It's a little harsh. It might be just text messages or emails, or the message might upset the other party a little bit. And it is true, it does make the other party become combative. That would be the feminine for this month. So when the masculine communicates, the feminine gets a little bit combative, argumentative, or just firms up their boundaries. And the masculine's actually made an offer, it might not even be perceived. Now, the shared energy between the two of them is that they're both emotional, overwhelmed, maybe even. There's a lot alive in both parties here. And it would appear that it's an ending. So it starts out here with an ending, and it's the feminine doing the ending, the masculine's actually making an offer. And so even though the feminine is making an ending, the feminine actually is sitting in all this love. And the masculine is healing, thinking, okay, is it even worth it to communicate? Is it even worth it to spend my time trying to articulate what's alive in me if this person is cut off communication or walked away? And you know, there are masculine or men out there that if a person tells them boundaries, or I'm withdrawing my energies, or I don't want contact, or whatever, they leave without saying anything. The person is not gonna, the masculine, I'm referring to the masculine, they might not chase down the other person. If it doesn't feel like there's a mutually beneficial, nourishing needs exchange, or like the communication isn't flowing, they might just withdraw their energies and go somewhere. So for the feminine, it's appearing to me like the feminine needs a constant, consistent exchange of like love, emotion, nurturing. And the masculine needs a constant exchange of like communication, words, ideas traded back and forth, ideals even. Okay. So the masculine feels done, maybe even ruined, like they opened up their mouth and something got said by the masculine and it ended things. I don't feel like it was intentional. Because the masculine is focusing on a breakdown. There's been some kind of breakdown. And it's interesting, for the clarifications, we have the same card that we have over here. So Tower with the 5 of Wands is about repelling energies that doesn't work, and whatever somebody had a plan and it backfired. I'm just sitting here letting the messages come through. I would say it's confusing. It's not confusing, it's a lot. You know, the feminine has a very specific way that they're doing things, and I don't want to say that it's wrong. The masculine has a very specific way that they're doing, and I don't want to say that it's wrong. I would say here, however, that the masculine is not as right as the feminine. And it's not about comparing, it's not about a good, bad, or right, wrong. I'm not a big fan personally of vilifying, making wrong, making bad. What is the agreement? What is the ideas? Are we moving towards it or away from it? Is the energy growing together or growing apart? What is the purpose of this union? And are we honoring that purpose? Are we fulfilling our duty by anchoring that purpose into the physical? Are we sitting here in karma because we're dishonoring, diluting, diminishing, distorting, dejecting, disowning, distracting, destroying the purpose? Instead of it being a dharmic partnership, which means we cleanse and clarify the karma, which means we have a soul union. We're called together as soulmates either for a day, a year, or a lifetime, and we do our duty, which is heal our own wounds, trying to make this union work, whether it works or not. That's the dharmic, purifying your karma to get to your dharma. It's adharmic, meaning it's without law, without union, without spiritual alignment, when they just spiral into their own karma and project onto each other. So the feminine decided not to project. The masculine decided to do the work. But see, I feel the masculine was doing the work in silence in the dark, and the feminine isn't noticing, isn't seeing, but is sensing that work has been done, that energy is shifting, negative, karmic, lower, dissipating, moving into the space. Now, the challenge for me is that the masculine has a actual recognition of the work that they've been doing. He's been doing, they've been doing, you know, non-binary. But see, every move that the masculine makes, that the feminine has made like the higher octave of that move. The masculine gets their gate open, comes to the proper foundation, with the feminine's been at the proper foundation, already moved into a higher foundation. Masculine is finally understands what to manifest, how to communicate a message. Feminine's been receiving messages this whole time and is now receiving those messages from the soul and left the human behind. The masculine is repelling energies that don't belong. The feminine is clean, serene, only open to the right energies. So now we're in the sacrifice to be made here. Over the next month, there's gonna be an aha moment. So the masculine's gonna come to the understanding that they need to defend against something. I keep getting in, this is my personal opinion, so I should probably just keep it to myself. You know, I see in my work the woman needing to be chased a lot. And I don't know how to say this without saying being controversial. Okay, so if you leave because you want somebody to chase you, is that game playing? Like, that's a question. And like having the expectation that somebody chases you when you say or you do a certain thing which says or appears. Okay. So it was a very subtle leaving. But I keep hearing this whole time, that the feminine left. The feminine left, the feminine left. That's come up several times. And like, it's saying that the only thing that's gonna work is if the masculine chases. But see, the masculine is confused, or is contemplating, meditating about chasing, because they're like, okay, but, okay, but, okay, but, and I don't know all the buts, but one of them is like, you left. You know, in the mysteries, a lot of times okay, so for me, in my opinion, and this is my personal opinion with my professional judgment, okay, the masculine does need to rise up and meet the feminine. The feminine's job is to receive the masculine. However, it can't be like throwing tantrums and huffing and puffing and leaving. The feminine can become displeased and not respect an action from the masculine and withdraw their energies. And then the masculine doesn't chase after the feminine. The masculine stays close. And if the feminine changes location, the masculine should show up in that location. But it's more of chasing. But it's more of like sending the energy or sending the message like, hey, this thing was remedied that was displeasing you. I'm thinking of the mysteries and the Vedas and the Mahabharata where the queens and the goddesses, they get upset. So that's kind of how I see it, because anything else is some toxic shit. And there's a lot of subtle, you should know energy here. Well, has it been said? And if it's been said, was it confusing when you said it? Because it's hot, cold, yes, no, in, out, up, down, wrong, right, left, right, you know, fighting, making up, kissing, breaking up. Is it a lot of that? Because that would be confusing. It's clear that the feminine needs love and affection. The masculine needs clarity and exchange of ideas, words. So the masculine is not protesting anything other than repelling what's not working. They're trying to clean, you know, for me, the Five of Wands is the Saturn, okay, the Sakata stick. Excuse me, for the indigenous workers, you know what I mean. There's a broom that Saturn priests get that sweeps away karma. It repels negative energy. It's like a staff or a scepter that a king would hold up to establish command, lordship. So literally they're saying, okay, what energy here do I need to free up to its highest vibrational outcome? What change do I need to make in order to be most abundant? Where do I need to put my energy into to have the biggest yield, the biggest payoff of time, energy spent? And it's not that I'm protesting anything, but nothing significant is calling to me. And they've processed a whole lot, the masculine. And now it's just clear, like, okay, now it's time to be more creative because everything that I've tried to do hasn't worked. And everything that I've wanted hasn't worked. And, you know, now I'm willing to do the things that I initially opted against, that I initially disregarded, because everything else has failed. You know, my BS meter is getting triggered, and it's not up here. So like the intent, it's not the matter that's being addressed so much as it is the manner in which it's being addressed. It's not what's going on, it's how it's going on. And it's subtle until the very end. A whole list of coulda, shoulda, wouldas, a whole list of how something should go down. I'm questioning some methodology here. Because there's real love, there's real union, and they're together. But I feel the feminine is holding on to all this love, all this awareness of the union, and they're leaving the masculine to heal. But has there been communication that that's the expectation? I'm gonna leave you be, I'm gonna leave you in your energy, not sit in the corner and think what you did. But hey, honey, you're not ready. Or hey, my needs aren't getting met. I'm gonna go evolve somewhere else. Maybe we'll evolve back together. Or maybe we'll evolve apart. Because there is some confusion here. And I question sometimes if the masculine, when they're repelling lower vibrational energies, are they repelling the feminine too? And if the answer is yes, it's because they feel the connection to the feminine, but they're going with what they were told. I mean, me personally, I'm one of those face value people, and that's how the masculine should be. I mean, unless you're dating like a triple Pisces, you know, an artist, somebody that's deeply sensitive, somebody that's deeply intuitive and creative. If you say, I want space, they would give you space. That's the kind of masculine that I enjoy. If you say that you want to take a break, are you expecting them to chase you down? If you leave, withdraw your energies, ghost them, are you expecting them to show up at your door? That's not every type of masculine. That's a very specific type of masculine. And normally, it's more in alignment with the karmic relationship than the true twin flame relationship. Okay, well, saying that gave me a little bit of peace because I don't have that nagging sensation now. You know, I have a blind spot spread here. And I'm gonna read what I'm gonna read because that's what I see here. I'm seeing that the masculine thinks that this is over. The feminine is actually impulsive, kind of horny, kind of in their energy, lustful. It might not be that. It could be that they're competitive. You know, this is the kind of energy, Page of Wands, they like to create jealousy a little bit or create, you know, the word would be cajole, compel. A lower vibrational person might manipulate, especially with this Queen of Wands here. The masculine thinks that they went in, tried to get something out of it, and it's over. And they left it without getting what they wanted, the feminine. Because the evolving situation we leave into next month with a union or an agreement comes once the masculine comes into some type of different perspective, but there's forced isolation here. The masculine's been left alone. The feminine is the one who made movement. We have 2 4s and 2 9s on the masculine side. 2 4s is a foundation. Masculine's been working on their foundation. It could be money, it could be work, it could be home life, it could be 2 or 3 different things. Their foundation is on and popping. 2 9s, they've matured in a lot of things, not just 1 or 2 things. They've gone the distance in 1 or 2 things. Their full cycle has gone down. It might not have culminated, it might not have completed. It has with the Wheel of Fortune here, and it happened already before we began this cycle. But 2 9s also means forced isolation. You know, 2 4s would tell me on the masculine side that they're ready for commitment, that they want commitment. With the Magician there, is telling me that they would have communicated that. The challenge, the obstacle, the conflict is communicating healing. The focus, they're fighting or they're feeling some kind of way about whatever breakdowns have gone down. And see, in the focus, it's energy that you're putting out. So they are the ones dismantling anything that's not working. They are the ones, the masculine, tearing down whatever is an obstacle, is a blockage to this foundation. But then they get through the cycle And they realize, okay, well, did I do this the wrong way? Did I go about this the wrong way? Did I defend this the wrong way? Did I not defend this? Why did I not defend? Oh, you told me XYZ, but you really meant elemental P. You said TUV, but you really meant ABC. But why didn't you just say that? And they're sitting here stressed out at the very end when they expected to show up happy, as in like they got their work done. And it wasn't like, you know, because that could suck too, like to ignore a person because you're working on your money, or to put somebody down and expect them to be there when you get back, but you don't communicate what your intentions are. You know, so I would say, like, it's the matter, it's not the matter you're addressing so much as it is the manner in which you address it. You know, this is a card of receiving, but I see on the feminine side, they would be the one to come back. We don't have a reversal, or if there is a reversal, it's on the masculine side. But see, the reversal starts in the beginning of the cycle. So 2 9s means forced isolation, but it also means a culmination, an ascension. 2 4s means taking the next step, a commitment, but it also means arriving a shifts, firming up, improvements in the foundation. So, you know, I'm finding that the masculine is repelling agendas, energies, obstacles to the foundation here, transmutating energies that don't align with the foundation. And I can see that we move into this next cycle with a difficult spiritual perspective, because there's either commitment or a union coming. It's going to be slow. It might take another 3 months to manifest. But it would appear to me that the feminine has left and is still in the union, in the love, but maybe they communicated a need to physically move to get a physical distance. And it would have seemed like a sudden reversal to the masculine. You know, both of these parties are alone. I know that for sure. We have the Hermit here as the shared energy. But they're both fighting for this union too. The feminine is actually more confused than the masculine is. And I say confused because I wanted to say that to dramatize an idea, but it can just be well, no, the feminine is actually gonna receive a reunion, but I don't see the masculine making moves towards the feminine. I see the feminine being the one to make moves. They're both solitary. 2 9s on the masculine side. The masculine's been left alone. And we have a 9 in terms of the Hermit as the shared energy on both sides. The guidance for this month is divine discontent. Oh, well, that's apropos. Let's read that down. So this is by the Alana Fairchild Rumi Oracle. Divine discontent number. That candle might go out, but we're ending here. 12, number 12. So let's go ahead and read that. This is on page 62. Short poem. Winter falls upon us, so spring can bring new growth. Cry the tears, allow the longing. Sadness brings surrender and a deep desire to be free. I know your heart. I hear it breaking and groaning in darkest of night, when you imagine yourself to be silently cast adrift in sleep. It speaks to me, that sacred heart of yours, whispering its longing and bemoaning its divine discontent. It knows when something is amiss. It senses that something is not quite right as yet. There is a piece of the puzzle missing, even in its tremendous gratitude for all that is. And there's much gratitude and sweet appreciation in that precious heart of yours. There is a murmuring, a questing. It cries out to heaven, vouchsafe me a blessing. I cannot go on. I am broken and in need of your tenderness for healing. I am empty and in need of filling, not with the stuff and bits, but with the most precious nectar of divine fulfillment. Nothing else will satisfy me. Please, please restore me to wholeness. I can bear this missing piece, this broken disarray no longer. I listen and I cajole the wise heart of yours. I praise it for its honesty and longing. For the longing is an irresistible perfume to the beloved, attracting the only salve that will soothe the divine discontent of your truth speaking heart, that of divine presence, absolute and unquestionable. There is a sense within you, perhaps quite obvious to your conscious mind, or perhaps only dimly registered as an unnameable underlying sense of anxiety, that something in your life is not quite right. It may be the sense, even amongst so much gratitude, of a yearning yet to be met, a longing yet to be fulfilled and satisfied. This is the pain of the awakening heart. The heart is capable of bliss and ecstatic reverence for the sheer beauty of wonder of creation. Yet, as the heart matures, there will be a process of deep, passionate longing that awakens for the divine. It is the impatience for the caress of the great lover, for the presence of the divine to come to you. Over time, that longing will grow from a mild inner sense of incompleteness, needing to become whole. It will develop into a holy fever, a sacred rage, a stamping of dancing feet, a pounding of fists upon the altar, and a longing so deep and distressing that one may well break into tears at the impossibility of bearing the pain of apparent separation for even a moment longer. Where is my beloved? Cries the awakening heart. I call for my beloved, and yet I am here still waiting. I can stand this no longer. As devotion grows and passion for the divine intensifies, so too does this yearning, so much so that this may come to feel as though your heart is breaking for the divine, or perhaps you are not quite there yet. Your heart is attached to smaller gods such as your status, your job, your lover, your body looking a certain way, or being able to live your life in a particular way. These smaller gods are not necessarily an issue, yet you have drawn this oracle, and so it is guidance for you that the divine wants to draw you closer. Sometimes that means we will have the meager meal wrested from our hands so we may feast upon something far more delectable and grand. The divine is a fiercely possessive lover. If there is a face of another beloved preventing you from longing for the divine embrace, and if you cannot see that is the divine beloved within your lover that you are loving, well, then something will be done by heaven. So make your relationship sacrosanct. Seek the divine in all things. When you cannot, when the power of lesser gods has you in its grip, acknowledge it. Bear witness to it. Do not chastise. Instead, be truthful. Let your heart break and lie prostrate on the floor, hands clutching and head bowed as though only your sadness and plight could stir the heart of the divine beloved into descent of succor and grace. saving you from a little life far too bland for your exquisite Epicurean palate. Just do not misinterpret the pain and think that something really is wrong. If you are surrounded by status and money and cannot understand why you should mourn, it is even more important that you allow yourself to do so. Mourning is to be felt, understood, and is not so relevant. Excuse me. Mourning is to be felt, understanding it is not so relevant. But if you must seek understanding, then know this, dear blazing angel, you are just waking up from the deepest of slumbers. With your awakening heart, you are realizing the truth. A part of you, deeper and wider, vaster and more instinctive, truthful and intelligent than your mind, is lovely for the divine embrace. It's lonely for the divine embrace, that is right. A part of you, deeper and wilder, vaster and more instinctive, truthful and intelligent than your mind, is lonely for the divine embrace. This is right. This is sensible. This is sanity. It is pain, the real noble pain of heart that says there is something more than this inadequacy, this settling for plastic instead of precious gemstones that must now end. I cannot be fed by the pixelated sunsets and animation upon my computer screen. I yearn to be blasted by so much radiance and beauty, by the real thing, that I become stupefied. I must witness so much divine splendor that all I can utter in some incoherent grunt, my mind dissembled and my heart ignited by presence of my beloved. I want to become a fumbling, ecstatic wreck in the presence of my beloved. I want to allow this pain, this yearning, this divine discontent to guide me to my holy lover, so my life may never be the same again. And so it shall be. The discontent divine growing within you is the beginning, not the destiny. Its purpose is to lead you into your greatest connection yet with divinity. Do not resist it. Witness it. Do not dismiss it, trying to cover up its smell with rose petals. Let your rank discontent be the pathway to divinity. Look beyond what is, what has been prized and treasured, and is now found to be plated and not precious gold. It was once esteemed to be. Do not be scared, for you are my sidekick on the great holy adventure. I am here, you see, just around the corner. I have you on my sides. Through you may not see me yet, though you may not see me yet, I am holding a loaf of fresh bread, hot from the kitchen of the Creator, hoping to entice you with its wafting scent, tempting you to follow me towards something of far more substance. If you are still stuck on pine-scented air freshener, imagining it is anything akin to the wild scent of the pine forest for real, then how can I tempt you? Let the stench be the stench. Then the fragrance of God can be discerned. And together we can leave what is less behind, once and for all, grabbing like hungry school children for the divine bread with sweet, fresh scent filling the air. Ooh, child, wow. Okay, so I understand this reading completely. The feminine needed more. And the masculine got ready to give more, just as the feminine was evolving on to somewhere else. And the thing was, the feminine is still wanting the masculine. The masculine is now perceiving the pain that the feminine was feeling. The feminine has used that pain, that austerity, to purify the shadow. So now the feminine is sitting in their feelings, maybe or probably not aware that the masculine is becoming ready. So the masculine isn't longing, yearning, wishing, praying for the feminine. The masculine is combating the feminine's absence. Not saying, you're gone, why are you gone? But it's more combating how the feminine left. And I don't think the masculine's gonna chase. It does say here that the surrender, the sacrifice is gonna be some type of defensiveness. So there's an aha moment to stand up and fight. But I also see that being combative is what can diminish or destabilize the union. So it's been an honor and a pleasure to serve you today. Thank you for allowing me the privilege to do so. If anything that said resonates deeply with you, go ahead and check the information in the show notes. There is a flash sale going on for the next, until the 21st of, well, it expires midnight on the 22nd. So it's a 6-month forecast or 12-month forecast. You can pretty much see your year. For us here in the temple, the year actually starts at the spring equinox, fall equinox, depending on where you are in the world hemisphere that you're in. But until we meet again, namaste, Dhanavad, and Ashe. Goodbye, everyone.